The massive Galactic Council station hung like a sparkling jewel against the blackness of space. Admiral William Carter stood tall on the bridge of the U.S. Ascendant, Earth's flagship. His gray eyes remained fixed on the viewscreen as their small vessel approached the enormous alien structure. "They're hailing us, Admiral," said Communications Officer Diane Miller, her fingers dancing across the console. Carter straightened his uniform. On screen, the alien that appeared had blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "Earth vessel, this is docking control. Proceed to Bay 17. Council representatives await your arrival." The transmission ended abruptly. "Not much for small talk, are they?" muttered Lieutenant Samantha Boy from her tactical station. Her red hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, but a few strands had escaped to frame her freckled face. Carter smiled slightly. "We're the new kids at school, Lieutenant. Let's show them our best behavior." 2 hours later, Carter led a small delegation through the gleaming halls of the Council station. 6 humans walked among beings from a dozen different worlds. Some had too many limbs, others too few. Some breathed through gills, others through specialized membranes. The diversity was staggering. The council chamber itself was a massive circular room with 12 ornate seats arranged on a high platform. Below them stood a simple podium where visitors could address the council. The message was clear. The council looked down upon everyone else. "The humans may approach," announced a tall, thin alien with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. As Carter stepped forward, he heard whispers and saw pointing gestures from various council members. "I am Admiral William Carter of Earth. We come seeking peaceful relations and membership in your Galactic Council." The Zularan Ambassador Krex, a reptilian being with crimson scales and yellow eyes, leaned forward. "We have reviewed your petition, human. Your species has only recently achieved faster than light travel. Your presence here is premature. With respect, Ambassador, Earth has established colonies on 7 planets and maintains peaceful trade with the Centauri Alliance." Krex made a dismissive gesture. "The Centauri are hardly a standard to aspire to." "Tell me, Admiral, how many warships does Earth currently maintain?" Carter hesitated. This wasn't diplomatic protocol. 20 vessels capable of interstellar combat operations. The chamber erupted in laughter. Several council members whispered to each other behind raised hands or tentacles. Krex's yellow eyes gleamed. 20. The Zularan Defense Force alone commands over 500 dreadnoughts, each capable of reducing a planet to ash. Your ships are primitive toys by comparison. Carter felt his face grow warm, but kept his expression neutral. "We believe quality over quantity serves our defensive needs." "How quaint," said another council member, his gelatinous body quivering with what might have been amusement. "The human believes his tiny fleet has quality." Later, as the Earth delegation returned to their quarters, Lieutenant Boyd approached Carter. "They're treating us like children." "Sir." Carter nodded. "Yes, they are. But they don't know about the phase shift drives or the quantum guns," Boyd said quietly, "or the other 100 ships we've kept hidden in the Kuiper Belt." "No, they don't," Carter replied, his voice equally low. "And let's keep it that way for now. I noticed some strange fluctuations in their defense grid. Did you see it too?" Boyd nodded, her expression serious. "Yes, sir. Their system has vulnerabilities they don't seem aware of. Their arrogance has made them careless." Carter stared out the viewport at the massive council ships that dwarfed their own vessel. "Keep watching, Lieutenant. Document everything. If they mean to dismiss us as primitive, perhaps we should let them. Playing the long game, sir." Carter's eyes hardened. Earth has survived countless wars and disasters. "We've learned patience. The Council mocks our fleet today, but tomorrow—" He left the thought unfinished. Boyd smiled slightly. "Tomorrow might bring silence." "And silence," Carter replied, "often precedes the storm." 3 days had passed since the first meeting with the Council. Gregory Walsh sat in his small quarters aboard the U.S. Ascendant, his eyes red from staring at data screens. As Earth's intelligence officer, he had been tasked with monitoring all Council communications they could intercept. "Computer, play that transmission from Sector 7 again," Walsh said, rubbing his tired eyes. The computer beeped, and a scratchy voice filled the room. The language was alien, but Earth's translation software converted it to English with only a slight delay. "Operation Cleans is proceeding as planned. The humans suspect nothing. Their outposts in the Epsilon system have been neutralized." Walsh sat up straight. "Neutralized? We have 3 research stations in Epsilon." He quickly opened a secure channel to Admiral Carter. 10 minutes later, Carter, Walsh, and Lieutenant Boyd gathered in the ship's secure conference room. "3 of our outposts have gone silent," Carter said, his face grim. "No distress calls, no emergency beacons, just silence. The Council is behind it," Walsh said, playing the intercepted transmission. "They're calling it Operation Cleans." Boyd's green eyes flashed with anger. "They're attacking us while pretending to consider our membership petition. That's why they laughed at our fleet size. They think we're defenseless." Carter nodded slowly. "We need more information before we confront them. Lieutenant, contact Captain Rodriguez on the U.S. horizon. She's currently near the edge of Council space. Tell her to investigate but stay hidden." Captain Lisa Rodriguez guided her survey ship through the asteroid field with practiced ease. The U.S. horizon was small and fast, designed for exploration rather than combat. Perfect for sneaking around unnoticed. "Sensors picking up something big, Captain," said her science officer, Paul Davis. "Very big." Rodriguez peered at the screen. "What am I looking at?" "It appears to be an artificial structure," Davis replied. "About the size of Earth's moon, but it's not solid. More like a framework with complex machinery throughout." Rodriguez whistled softly. "Can we get closer without being detected?" "If we power down non-essential systems and drift with the asteroids, maybe." An hour later, the horizon floated silently among the space rocks, its sensors passively gathering data on the massive construct. "It's a weapon," Davis whispered, though there was no need to be quiet in space. "It generates some kind of subspace field that can disable ship systems at incredible distances." Rodriguez's blood ran cold. "That's how they took out our outposts without a fight." She made a quick decision. "Record everything. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Earth needs to know about this." Back on Earth, Military Director Patricia Morgan stood in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Holographic displays showed the positions of all known Council vessels, as well as Earth's 20 official ships. A young officer approached. "Director, we've received a priority message from the U.S. horizon. Captain Rodriguez reports discovery of a large-scale weapons platform near Council space." Morgan's face hardened. "So that's their game." She turned to her staff. "Initiate Operation Silent Watch. Alert all hidden fleet elements. Combat status 2. Across the solar system and beyond, Earth's true military might begin to stir. Not 20 ships, but 200 advanced vessels hidden in asteroid fields, inside gas giants, and within the clouds of the Orc cloud. Ships with technology the Council believed impossible for primitive humans." Morgan opened a secure channel to Admiral Carter. "Bill, the Council has shown their hand. They attacked our outposts and have built a superweapon. Time to prepare our response." Carter's face on the screen was solemn. "Understood. I'll continue the diplomatic charade while you position our forces. They think we're weak, Patricia. Let's let them keep thinking that." Morgan nodded. "Operation Silent Watch is active. When the Council finally makes their big move against Earth, they'll find only silence," Carter finished. "And then we'll show them what humanity is truly capable of." The grand dining hall of the Council station gleamed with soft blue light. Servers of various alien species moved between tables carrying strange foods and drinks. Admiral Carter and his team sat at a long table with representatives from the 12 Council races. Ambassador Krex stood, raising a glass filled with purple liquid. To our guests from Earth, who have waited patiently while we consider their petition. Carter nodded politely, though he felt uneasy. The meeting had been called suddenly, with little explanation. After careful consideration, Krex continued, his yellow eyes fixed on Carter. The Council has reached a decision regarding Earth's membership. The room grew quiet. Carter kept his face neutral, though he knew what was coming. The petition is denied, Krex announced. Earth has failed to demonstrate the cultural and technological maturity required for Council membership. Lieutenant Boyd, seated beside Carter, tensed slightly. Under the table, Carter touched her arm in warning. Asterisk, not yet asterisk. We understand, Carter said calmly, though we are disappointed. Krex's scaled lips formed what might have been a smile. There is one more matter to discuss. Our surveys have shown that humans are spreading too quickly through this sector. Your unpredictable nature poses a threat to galactic stability. The diplomatic pretense was falling away. Carter felt the mood in the room shift. The Council has unanimously voted for a containment action, Krex said. Earth will surrender all military assets and accept Council governance, effective immediately. Our ships are already moving into position around your homeworld and colonies. Several Council guards moved to block the exits. Carter exchanged glances with his team. This was no longer a dinner. It was a trap. And if we refuse? Carter asked, though he already knew the answer. Your primitive fleet cannot stand against Council forces, Krex said. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly. Carter tapped his wrist device twice, sending a silent signal. I need to consult with my government. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Krex replied. You will remain here as our guests until Earth's surrender is complete. On the lunar base, communications specialist Eric Martinez received Admiral Carter's signal. They've made their move, he told his team. Activate the countermeasures. Across Earth's solar system, the supposedly defenseless outposts suddenly seemed to vanish from Council sensors. What the alien forces found instead were empty buildings and holographic projections. The real personnel and equipment had been evacuated days earlier. Martinez monitored the Council's communications channels, intercepting frantic messages between their ships. Human Outpost Alpha shows no resistance. Wait, there's no one here. Station Beta is abandoned. All we found were automated systems. Command, request instructions. The targets are gone. Martinez smiled grimly as he compiled the intercepts. This confirmed what Earth intelligence had suspected. This wasn't just a rogue faction. The entire Council had approved the attack. Back on the Council station, an aide rushed into the dining hall and whispered urgently to Krex. The ambassador's scales darkened with anger. What trick is this? He demanded, glaring at Carter. Your outposts are empty. Carter shrugged. I have no idea what you're talking about. Enough games. Krex snarled. Our fleet is moving to occupy Earth itself. Your people will surrender or face extinction. Carter remained calm. You underestimate humanity, Ambassador. Always have. Your 20 ships against our armada. Krex laughed. Your bravery is admirable but foolish. At that moment, alarms began blaring throughout the station. A Council officer burst into the room. Ambassador, we've lost contact with the advance fleet, and Earth's defensive ships have. They've disappeared from our scanners. Krex turned to Carter, confusion replacing his confidence. What is happening? Carter stood slowly, his team rising beside him. You mocked our fleet, Ambassador. You called our ships primitive toys. You thought us weak and unprepared. His voice hardened. You were wrong. Restrain them, Krex ordered the guards. But as the guards moved forward, the lights throughout the station flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. When emergency lighting came on seconds later, Carter and his team were gone. In the confusion, no one noticed the small quantum device left under the table, silently mapping the station's entire security network and transmitting it to Earth's hidden fleet. Senior Commander Vexus stood on the bridge of the Zularan Dreadnought *, Inevitable Conquest *. Through the massive view screen, he watched as hundreds of Council warships moved into position around the Sol system. This would be a simple operation. Earth had only 20 ships to defend its 9 planets. "All battle groups report ready, Commander," said his first officer. Vexus nodded. "Begin the approach. Tell all ships to prepare for resistance, though I doubt the humans will be foolish enough to fight." The massive fleet moved forward, weapons charged and shields at maximum. But as they crossed the outer boundary of the solar system, something strange happened. "Commander, we're detecting no human ships on our scanners," reported the sensor officer, confusion in his voice. Vexus frowned. "Check again." They had orbital defenses around their homeworld and colonies. "Checking all frequencies, sir." The officer worked frantically at his console. Nothing. No ships, no active defense platforms. Even their space stations appear abandoned. Vexus slammed his fist on the arm of his command chair. "Impossible. An entire species cannot simply vanish. Send scout ships to their homeworld immediately." Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Lieutenant Commander Jason Mitchell floated in a specially designed suit, making final adjustments to a small device attached to a large asteroid. 5 other team members worked on similar devices nearby. "Network Node 7 is online," Mitchell reported through his secure communicator. "Ready to activate on your command." From her position on Phobos, one of Mars' moons, Lieutenant Boyd replied, "Good work. All 17 nodes are now operational. Beginning network integration in 3, 2, 1. Activate." Mitchell pressed a sequence of buttons on his device. Across the solar system, 16 other devices powered up simultaneously. Together, they created a web of energy that bent sensor readings, making Earth's ships and defenses invisible to Council technology. "Diversion successful," Boyd reported. "The Council fleet is getting only the sensor readings we want them to see. Nothing." In her laboratory beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Olivia Clark made final adjustments to the massive phase shift engine. This was her life's work, a device that could partially shift objects into an alternate dimension, making them undetectable to normal space sensors. "Phase shift initialization complete," she announced to the operators around her. "Begin sequence for all designated vessels." Across Earth and throughout the solar system, 200 ships, not 20, began to shimmer and partially fade from normal space. They were still there, still fully operational, but now existed partially in another dimension. The Council's technology, advanced as it was, could not detect what it could not perceive. "All ships report successful phase transition," an operator confirmed. "We are ghosts." Clark smiled. "Send word to Admiral Carter. Operation Silent Watch is ready for Phase 2. Back on the Council flagship, Vexus paced nervously. Scout ships had reported Earth's major cities appeared normal, with civilian activities continuing, but there was no sign of any military presence. "It makes no sense," he muttered. "Where are their defenses? Where are their people?" His intelligence officer approached cautiously. "Sir, we've analyzed all data. It's as if they knew we were coming and just disappeared." Vexus's scales darkened with anger. No species has ever detected a Council stealth operation before. "It's not possible." "Nevertheless, sir," the officer persisted, "we are facing an empty battlefield." "Spread the fleet out," Vexus ordered. "I want every corner of this system searched. Find their ships." As the Council fleet dispersed, they didn't notice the slight distortion effects around certain asteroids. They didn't detect the altered sensor readings or the quantum fluctuations in subspace, and they certainly didn't see the 200 Earth vessels now moving silently into position, surrounding the scattered Council ships. Aboard the U.S. Defiant, hidden in phase shift, Captain Anthony Rivera watched the Council ships spreading out, becoming more vulnerable with each passing minute. "They've taken the bait," he reported to Admiral Carter. "The fleet is dispersed and confused. They're searching for an enemy they can't see." Carter's voice came through clearly despite the phase shift. "Excellent. Prepare all ships for synchronized attack. We will show them why silence is the last thing they should have wished for." Captain Anthony Rivera sat in the command chair of the U.S. Defiant, his ship still hidden in phase shift. Through the view screen, he watched a massive Council command cruiser drift slowly by, completely unaware of the Earth vessel barely 50 meters from its hull. "Weapons status?" Rivera asked quietly, though the Council ship couldn't hear them. "All systems green, Captain," replied Weapons Officer Frank Miller. "Quantum torpedoes locked on their engine core and shield generators." Rivera took a deep breath. "All hands, prepare for phase shift exit. We'll have 3 seconds of surprise before they detect us." Throughout the ship, crew members braced themselves. This would be humanity's first strike against the Council forces. "Exit phase shift in 3, 2, 1. Now." The Defiant suddenly snapped back into normal space, appearing out of nowhere directly beside the Council cruiser. Before the alien vessel could react, 4 quantum torpedoes launched from the Defiant's tubes, striking with perfect accuracy. The Council ship's shields collapsed, and its main engines went dark. Rivera didn't wait to see more. "Re-engage phase shift." The Defiant vanished again, just as nearby Council ships turned their weapons toward where it had been. Similar scenes played out across the solar system as Earth ships appeared seemingly from nowhere, struck hard at key targets, and disappeared again before the Council forces could respond effectively. Aboard the stealth carrier U.S. Intrepid, Rear Admiral Nickel Bennett coordinated the attacks from a holographic display showing all 200 Earth vessels and their targets. "Group 7, attack the communications relay near Saturn," she ordered. "Group 3, disable those destroyers near Mars. Remember, target engines and weapons only. We want to minimize casualties." Bennett watched with satisfaction as Earth forces systematically crippled the Council fleet. The aliens had expected to face 20 outdated ships. Instead, they were being attacked by 10 times that number, using technology they couldn't even detect. "Admiral, we've disabled 60% of their fleet," reported her tactical officer. "No Earth ships lost or severely damaged." Bennett nodded. "Good. Send word to Engineer Wright. Time for Stage 2. Aboard the Council flagship, Commander Vexus stared in horror at the reports flooding in. Ships throughout his fleet were being attacked by enemies that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "How is this possible?" he roared. "Where are they coming from?" His communications officer looked up from her console, fear in her eyes. "Sir, we've lost contact with command groups 3, 5, and 8, and our automated defense systems err." She never finished her sentence. The ship's lights flickered, and suddenly their own defense turrets turned and began firing on other Council ships nearby. "What's happening?" Vexus demanded. His chief engineer rushed onto the bridge. "Sir, our systems have been hacked. Some kind of virus has infected our network. It's spreading to all connected ships." Engineer Daniel Wright sat in his small control room aboard the U.S. Defiant, fingers flying across holographic interfaces. The quantum device planted during the diplomatic dinner had given him access to the Council's entire command network. "Their security is impressive," he muttered to himself, "but they never planned for human ingenuity." With a few final commands, Wright activated the carefully crafted program that turned the Council's automated weapons against their own ships. Not to destroy, just to create maximum confusion. Wright opened a channel to Captain Rivera. "Electronic warfare package deployed successfully, sir. Council fleet is in chaos." Admiral Carter, now aboard his flagship U.S. Ascendant, watched the battle unfold from a tactical display. Earth ships continued to strike from phase shift, while Council vessels fired wildly at empty space, or in many cases, at each other due to Wright's virus. "Open a channel to all Council ships," Carter ordered. When the channel was ready, Carter spoke clearly and calmly. This is Admiral William Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your invasion force has been neutralized. Your weapons have been compromised. You are surrounded by 200 Earth vessels, not 20. You mocked our fleet and called our ships toys. Now you understand your mistake." He paused, then continued. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. This can end without further bloodshed, or we can continue to demonstrate what humans are truly capable of. The choice is yours. You have 5 minutes to decide." 5 minutes after Admiral Carter's ultimatum, most of the Council fleet had powered down their weapons. A few ships tried to escape, but were quickly disabled by Earth forces. The massive invasion had turned into a surrender in less than 2 hours. On the Council's central communication hub, chaos reigned. Representatives from the 12-member species argued loudly amongst themselves. "This is a disaster," shouted the Tellarite Ambassador Marn, slamming his fist on the table. "I warned against attacking the humans. Their technology was clearly underestimated." Ambassador Krex hissed in anger. "The humans tricked us. They hid their true capabilities. Just as you hid your plans to destroy them." Marn shot back. "This council voted for war without proper information." While the council argued, Ambassador Marn secretly opened a private channel to Admiral Carter. The Tellarite's round face appeared solemn on Carter's screen. "Admiral, not all of us supported this aggression. Some of us argued for peace, but we were outvoted." Carter nodded. "I appreciate your honesty, Ambassador. Perhaps we can work toward a ceasefire." "There may be complications," Marn warned. "Grand Admiral Zex is gathering the remaining loyal ships for a final attack on Earth itself." Aboard the Council's military flagship, Grand Admiral Zex refused to accept defeat. The old warrior's face was lined with anger as he addressed his officers. "We will not surrender to primitives. Gather all functional ships for a direct assault on the human homeworld. We still have enough firepower to reduce their major cities to ash." Commander Lara Chen, his half-human second-in-command, stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, this war is lost. Further fighting will only cause more deaths on both sides." "Silence," Zex snarled. "Your human blood makes you weak. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not bow to newcomers." Chen looked around at the other officers, seeing doubt in their eyes. She made a quick decision. "Computer, security override Chen Alpha 6. Lock down all weapon systems." The ship's computer beeped in acknowledgement. "Weapon systems locked." Zex's eyes widened in shock. "This is mutiny. This is sanity," Chen replied, as security officers moved to restrain the Grand Admiral. "I will not allow a pointless genocide." Back on Earth, President Laura Grant stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Cameras broadcast her speech to every corner of the planet and to all human colonies. "Citizens of Earth and her colonies, today we faced our greatest challenge since becoming a spacefaring civilization. The Galactic Council, which had presented itself as a peaceful organization, attempted to subjugate humanity through force." She paused, her expression serious but calm. "What they didn't know was that humanity has always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Our seemingly small fleet was in fact just the visible tip of our defense forces. Our advanced technology, developed in secret over decades, proved superior to their own." Screens around her showed images of the disabled Council fleet and Earth ships escorting alien vessels into custody. "We do not seek revenge or conquest. We have always wanted only peace and fair treatment among the stars. But today has proven that true peace requires strength and vigilance." Captain Kevin Reynolds and his small team moved quietly through the maintenance tunnels of the Council's central communications hub. They had infiltrated the station during the confusion of the battle. "Almost there," whispered Specialist Alan Jones, checking a holographic map projected from his wrist device. "The main broadcast center is just ahead." Reynolds nodded. "Remember, our mission is to broadcast the truth to all Council worlds. Many of their citizens don't know what their leaders planned." They reached a large door. Jones quickly bypassed the security system, and the door slid open to reveal a room filled with advanced communications equipment. "Clear," reported Security Officer Olivia Green, checking for guards. Reynolds plugged a small device into the main console. "Uploading now." Across thousands of worlds, regular broadcasts suddenly interrupted. Citizens of all Council species watched in shock as evidence of their leader's conspiracy against Earth played on their screens. Secret recordings of Council meetings, plans for the unprovoked attack, and even discussion of enslaving humanity, all exposed for the galaxy to see. The truth spread like wildfire. Within hours, protests erupted on dozens of Council worlds as citizens demanded answers from their representatives. The unified front of the Council, which had stood for millennia, began to crack under the weight of its own deception. 1 week after the failed invasion, Admiral Carter stood on the observation deck of the U.S. Ascendant. Below, Earth shone blue and beautiful. Around the planet, ships from a dozen alien worlds now floated peacefully alongside Earth vessels. The Council's authority had collapsed in days. "Admiral, the representatives are ready," said Lieutenant Boyd, now wearing the insignia of a full captain after her promotion. Carter nodded. "Let's not keep them waiting." In the Ascendant's large conference room, leaders from all former Council worlds sat around a circular table. No one was placed higher than others, a deliberate change from the Council's elevated platform. "The last Council warships have surrendered," Carter announced. "Grand Admiral Zex is in custody. The war is officially over." Ambassador Marn of the Tellarates spoke first. "Thanks to Commander Chen's courage and Captain Reynolds' broadcast, most worlds withdrew support from the Council immediately. We were lied to about the humans' intentions. The question now is what comes next," said a blue-skinned Andorian representative. "The Council has governed interstellar affairs for millennia. Its collapse leaves a dangerous power vacuum." Carter looked around the table. "Earth proposes a new organization, the Galactic Alliance, one based on equality, transparency, and mutual defense. No species would stand above others. All would have equal voice." Murmurs of approval spread through the room, but the Vulcan representative raised a hand. "Forgive me, Admiral, but Earth is relatively new to interstellar politics. Why should humanity lead this alliance?" "A fair question," Carter replied. "Earth doesn't seek to rule. We seek partnership, but we've demonstrated both technological capability and restraint. We could have destroyed the Council fleet but chose minimal casualties. We seek justice, not revenge." The representatives exchanged glances, then began to nod slowly. In a secure holding facility on Luna, Earth's moon, Ambassador Krex stood before a panel of judges from multiple worlds. His scales had lost their bright color, appearing dull and gray. "Ambassador Krex, you have been found guilty of war crimes against peaceful civilizations and conspiracy to commit genocide," announced the chief judge. "You will be imprisoned for the remainder of your natural life." Krex hissed in anger. "You fools, the humans will rule you all now." "No," said Commander Laura Chen, who stood watching the proceedings. "They've shown us a better way to exist together." As the new representative of her people, Chen would help build the bridge between humans and former Council species. 1 month later, Captain Samantha Boyd stood with Admiral Carter on the observation deck of the newly constructed Alliance Station. Ships from 30 different worlds moved peacefully through space around them. "Hard to believe it's been only 2 months since they mocked our 20 primitive ships," Boyd said with a smile. Carter nodded. "Their mistake was thinking quantity matters more than quality, and underestimating human ingenuity." "Sir," Boyd asked, "do you think it will last?" "This peace." Carter gazed out at the impressive fleet of Earth ships, now openly patrolling alongside alien vessels. Their phase shift technology had been shared with trusted allies, and joint training exercises were already underway. "Peace is never guaranteed, Captain, but it's more likely when everyone knows the true strength of their neighbors." He turned to her with a slight smile. "They mocked our fleet, then came the silence. Now they listen when we speak." Boyd nodded. "And we listen when they speak. That's the difference between the Council and our alliance." In the distance, a new ship was being constructed, the first vessel built through collaboration between humans and former Council races. It would be the fastest, most advanced ship in the galaxy, combining the best technologies of a dozen worlds. "The silence is over," Carter said. "Now comes the conversation, and I believe it will be a long and productive one." As they watched, more ships arrived from distant systems, new members seeking to join the Alliance. The galaxy was changing, and humanity, once dismissed as primitive, now stood at the center of a new era of cooperation and mutual respect.